Marshall, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to be in this podcast. It really means a tremendous amount to me. So thank you for allowing me the time and sharing some of your insights.
Oh, thank you so much for asking me. It's my pleasure.
You are so prolific on things like LinkedIn, and I'm curious, and you're so generous. Um, what is driving your generosity? Because I'm very curious about that. Because somebody of your stature and your prominence and where you are and what you've delivered, you're very kind, and I'm curious. Not a lot of people are like that. So what drives that?
Well, many people have what they would call philanthropy. They donate money to this charity or that charity, whatever. I I try to practice something called knowledge philanthropy, which means I give away everything I know to as many people as I can for free. And I'm very fortunate. I I have enough money. I mean, to me, how much money is important? I have enough. I don't want another house. I don't want another car. I have plenty of green t-shirts. So, there's nothing I can buy at the store that's going to make one iota of difference in my life. Kids are doing fine. So for me, what I want to do is just help as many people as I can. And as I've grown older, my life is much simpler. Have a little better life, just a little better life. Now, you mentioned LinkedIn. I was just on the phone today with people from LinkedIn, and this week, in the past 7 days, 500,000 people have read something I wrote on LinkedIn in 1 week. So that's a lot. That's a lot. And when I was younger, I might have kind of poo-pooed that and said, well, that's minor stuff, little quote here, little comment there. What does it really matter? And I don't think that way anymore. The way I think now is let us imagine each one of those 500,000 people had one better minute. One better minute. That's all. Didn't change their life, didn't transform the world. They just had one better minute. That's a lot of minutes.
That is a lot of minutes. And the other thing which I really appreciate about your posts is they tend to evoke some reactions, and the reactions are incredible. And you're right; it's a very simple question that you pose or thought that you pose, and I almost feel like there's a sense of community that happens because you see all the comments, and then everybody starts to feed off of each other. So that's I don't know if that was intentional, but that's really cool, and that's probably why you're getting so much reaction on LinkedIn. Like one of the posts, there's like a famous philosophical quote that I always mess up the philosopher, but it says you can never step in the same river twice.
Right.
And I remember revisiting that comment not too long ago. And when you posted it made me think about that quote. And I shared some comments, and then I saw everybody else's responses and your responses, which were great. And I almost felt like there was a community of people chiming in. So it was very cool.
I love it. And the reality is on LinkedIn, people are very positive. If you notice on my quotes, they're 99.8%. Everyone is constructive, it's positive. People disagree sometimes, which is fine, but they do it in a very positive and constructive way. There's not a lot of put downs or little snarky remarks or sarcasm. So, yeah, I think this is a very, very positive group. I'm writing a book now, and I'm actually writing a book based on the best of all of my LinkedIn posts. I was just on the phone today with LinkedIn talking about it. I'm going to put it all on my computer bot, marshallgoldsmith.com. So, marshallgoldsmith.ai. I'm put it all on my computer bot, and that's free too, by the way. So you can go to marshallgoldsmith.ai. I have my own AI bot, and it's all free. And, it's getting better and better. Ultimately, it will be amazing within, I'd say, if I can hang around long enough, the next couple, 3 years, it's going to be amazing.
Well, Marshall, I did go to marshallgoldsmith.ai, and I did play around with it a little bit, so I hope you don't mind. But it's pretty cool, and it's very interesting that you're leveraging that technology. And one thing I'm curious about, so this podcast, I like to explore people's core values, what it means to them, and how it impacts their business. Now, obviously, you have a strong understanding of what core values are.
Right.
If you would articulate your core values, what do you think, or how would you articulate what your core values would be?
My core value is basically, in terms of professional values, I want to help the human being that I'm dealing with have a little better life. That's all.
That's nice. And what I did
By
is,
the way, I coach a lot of, as you know, my clients are not a secret. So I've coached a lot of very famous, very important people. And every one of my coach, I tell them in the beginning, look, I hope your company makes money and I hope you're very successful and achieve a lot, but you're going to be successful if you meet me or not. At the end of the day, I've got one basic goal. I just want to help you have a better life. Then I always ask one question. Is that okay? Is that okay?
hmm.
Now, how many of these famous people have ever said, no, that's a bad idea? None. You know what? At the end of the day, we are all human beings. That's it. That's it.
Well, one of the things that I saw you speak about and talk about even years ago, I try to go back and watch some of your videos from previous years, and I try to read what I can. And I got the sense essentially, and I've got this through my own coaching sort of program. It's almost like those things are out there. You're really coaching the person.
Right.
What is the impact of the person? So yes, maybe you're a CEO or you're a high level director or so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, yes, yeah, it's
You're a human being.
yeah. And I think that's the essence of it all. And as I go through my journey, as I getting a little bit older, I'm coming back to that more. And I don't know if it's an age thing or a wisdom thing or what it is, but it seems to be something that rings more true than maybe it did for me 15 years ago or 10 years ago. And even this podcast, this it's almost like a search for the self in that regard.
Well, one thing I think is very important today about your topic of values, I think it's very important what you're doing. One thing that's very important today about this topic more than ever is in the new world, people are going to have to work hard. They're going to have to work very hard. The competitive pressure is not going to go down. They're going to go up. The pace of change is only speeding up. It's not slowing down. AI is not going to go away. They're going to have to be involved in continuous learning, like it or not.
Right.
Like it or not. And if you really are doing things that you enjoy, they're aligned with your core values, it doesn't seem like work. If you are not doing things that are aligned with your values and you do not enjoy, it is work and it is tiring and you're going to burn out. So for me, that's what you're saying is very critical. I mean, look at this podcast we're doing. All right, am I working? I don't know. You could say I either work all the time or don't work at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does it matter?
Yeah, I guess how we define work will be different too, right? And so
Yeah.
that's interesting. Have you come across in your experience where those things were not aligned that you've seen, where maybe a senior leader, their values maybe were not aligned with their organizations, or maybe they didn't define their values, and maybe there was a mismatch?
Well, again, I've been very, very fortunate. I've never had to work with people I didn't want to work with. So for me, people ask me questions like, how do I deal with that? The answer is I don't. Pretty simple. By the way, I'm not putting down the other person. I'll give you two examples. And I'm not saying good or bad, just personal choice. I chose not to work with the tobacco company. Okay. And maybe I just didn't personally agree with what they're doing. I'm not putting them down. It's just personal choice. I did choose to work with, defense contractor that build weapons. Well, you could argue both ways. And I'm not saying I was right or wrong. It was just a personal choice. I thought, well, I think for my values, it's good to help these people. And I thought for my values, it's not good to help these other people.
Well, what I love, and thank you for sharing that. What I love you just said about that is that it goes back to your values and who you are. And there was, everybody knows Walt Disney, but not many people know Roy. And Roy was sort of like the financial guy, the CFO. And there was one quote, and I'm probably going to butcher the quote, but in essence, what Roy was saying is if you always go back to your values, you'll never be wrong in terms of
Right.
who you are, what you're trying to do. And I thought that's a very powerful statement that was made many, many years ago that I think maybe sometimes, or even today, we forget that a little bit.
One of the people that I quote very frequently is Harry Kramer. Harry Kramer is former CEO of Baxter, and he's a member of our 100 coach group. And he's one of the happiest people I ever know. And we're in a meeting, and someone challenged him, and they said, "Harry, how did you sleep at night? You were a CEO. You've had to lay off thousands of people. Your company made mistakes. You've had shareholders. How did you even sleep at night?" You know what he said? "I always slept at night. I never had a problem sleeping." So I said, "How?" Two questions, he said. "I only asked myself two questions. Did I do what I thought was right at that time? Question one. And question two, did I do my best? If the answer is, look, I did what I thought was right and I did my best, I can sleep at night."
Wow. Yeah. Uh, What's interesting is I think sometimes a lot of people don't do that introspection. They may let other outside forces sort of dictate, their happiness or their alignment, or I like to call it sort of values congruency. Where they don't necessarily match up identically, but there's a commonality that happens. And my fear and why I'm trying to do some of this work, and I appreciate you for joining me on this journey, was to maybe reawaken people to the fact that they do have core values and they can connect to them. And sometimes I think it's not sort of top of mind.
I think it's very good, just to keep it in your head. Another person I quote is Carol Kaufman, and she had one of the best quotes I ever heard is that, um, am I doing what I think? No, am I being the person I want to be right now? Am
Yeah.
I being the person that I want to be right now? Uh, Carry a little card around. You want to do a good
That,
job living your values? Look at the card.
yeah, that's pretty powerful, and that's only a couple seconds with a question.
Yeah.
The other thing I loved is I saw there's like six active questions that you challenge people to talk about, and it seems like that's one of them. Where did that come from? Was that how did you come across that? Because I think when you ask yourself those questions, it triggers something different. And was that something that how did that evolve?
Well, it did evolve because, um, well, I developed something called a daily question process. And again, I had the honor of very fortunate luck of working with Peter Drucker for many years. I was on his advisory board for 10 years. So I got to spend maybe 50 days with him, which was an unbelievable lucky blessing for me because I'm not a stupid person. I'm not a modest person, but my brain compared to him was that of a 10-year-old. I mean, he was playing with another deck
Why do you say that?
because it's true. I mean, he's just brilliant, brilliant man. Let me give you one example why I say that. I'm not being modest. I was very honored that he asked me to come and talk to him right before he died, kind of say goodbye. And we talked 45 minutes, and he wasn't doing well, but he talked about history and business, and he enjoyed it. And I said, Peter, I think this was before the great financial crisis, a long time before. I said, I think General Motors, Ford, those companies are going to go bankrupt. I'm running the numbers here. Look at the healthcare costs, and the numbers don't add up. They just can't do it. What do you think? You got to realize he was about to die. He goes, well, Marshall, you may be correct. You have a good point. Yet I see something slightly different. I think this will happen during a period of severe economic uncertainty in the United States. The government will not want these auto companies to go bankrupt. I think the government will be involved. He went on and on and on and described exactly what happened 7 years later.
Wow.
So why do I think he's smarter than me? That. Yeah, that's it. I say I'm playing check. I'm not putting myself down. I was ahead of 99% of everybody. Yeah, but I'm playing checkers.
Yeah.
He's playing chess. He's playing a different game than I am.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
7 years later, when I saw this all play out, I'm sitting, it's like being in the twilight zone. I'm going, oh my God. Yeah. So, yeah, why do I think he's smarter than me? Because he is.
so going back to, so where did those questions sort of,
The
what was the
daily
genesis
question,
of
I
that?
got that from Peter Drucker to start with. I got distracted. I got that from Peter Drucker. And basically, if you don't measure it, it doesn't happen. What we measure drives out what we don't measure. So measure it. So I started measuring what do you do every day? And then my daughter Kelly helped me with that because there are six basic questions. Now, I'm going to share these six questions now. If the people listening do nothing but do this every day, they're going to have a better life. That doesn't mean you're going to do it, though.
Right.
The average person quits in 2 weeks.
Wow.
It's hard to do. Now, I'm
Yeah.
going to share six questions. It's going to take you a couple minutes a day to do this. Half the people quit within 2 weeks. And I'll explain why. The questions all begin with the phrase, did I do my best to? Very important. The question doesn't say you succeeded. It says, did you do your best to? Well, if I ask you, were you happy? And you say, no. Well, why? It was hot, traffic, boss was mean. Whose fault was it? Them.
Right.
If I ask you, did you do your best to be happy? Me. Did you make the best of it? Much harder, much more fun to point out their problems. So I'm going to share the six. Number one, every day, did I do my best to set clear goals on a 1 to 10 scale? Every day. Two, did I do my best to make progress toward achieving the goals? And some days we set the goals, and after 5 minutes, they're gone. Phone rings, emails, blah, 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 they're just gone, right? Three, did I do my best to find meaning? So you mentioned values rather than just having some plaque up on the wall. Every day, did you do your best to create meaning? Did you do your best to do meaningful things rather than waiting for somebody to give you meaning? Rather than going to work and saying, is my work meaningful? That's nice. Are you a child? Go to
Right.
work and say, did I do my best to make my work meaningful? Number four, did I do my best to be happy? Rather than saying, did the world make me happy out there? Did I do my best to be happy? Now, in my book, Triggers, I talk about this, and I talk about four brilliant people that I coached, or three. One was Dr. Jim Kim. Jim Kim, simultaneous MD and PhD from Harvard in anthropology. Normally, a PhD in anthropology takes 8 years. He got one in 5 years and got an MD at the same time. So he went on to lead Partners in Health, a totally inspirational story, saved millions of lives, was president of Dartmouth College and then president of World Bank, just a great friend of mine. Dr. Raj Shah, when I worked with him, head of USAID, now he's head of the Rockefeller Foundation, and Dr. John Noseworthy, head of the Mayo Clinic, #1 hospital. All three medical doctors. All three independently asked the same question. On an average day, how would you score? And did I do my best to be happy today? All three had the same answer. Never dawned on me to try to be happy. Never
That's
dawned on me.
interesting.
You know why? They're too busy achieving things. They're all medical doctors. I said, well, you're a medical doctor. Think that's a stupid question? I said, no. It's a very good question I forgot to ask. Good question, just forgot to ask. Question number 5, did I do my best to build positive relationships? Rather than wait for the rest of the world to love you, how'd you do about loving them? And question number 6, did I do my best to be fully engaged? Rather than saying, what is the company going to do to engage me today, as if you're a child or a victim? What are you doing to engage yourself today, as if you're an adult? Well, 6 questions every day. And if you do these, our research, anybody wants to see the research, send me an email, marshall@marshallgoldsmith.com. I'll send you the research on this. You can't argue with the research. You do this every day, you get better. The average person quits within 2 weeks.
Wow, that's interesting. I wonder why. Why do
Well,
you
let me
think
ask you
they?
a question. Have you ever tried to do this?
Well, it's funny that you say that because
Now we're having honesty time. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever tried, you read the book, have you ever tried to do this yourself?
not to be honest, to be
No,
100%
no, you
honest,
haven't
not
done it. No, of course not. You know why?
yeah.
You don't have the guts.
You're probably right. There's a couple which I would
Listening,
say I do, but not all six.
listening time. Now, free coaching for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So now we're not preaching at others. Now we're listening to ourselves. You've been preaching about values. Is that correct?
Yes.
You believe in living your values every day. Is that correct?
Yes.
Look in the mirror, buddy. Every day you start measuring yourself. And you know why you haven't been doing it? It's embarrassing and painful to face the reality of our own lives. Thank you,
I would
Marshall.
agree with that.
Now, are you going to try this or not?
Absolutely. There's no doubt. I'll even send you an email after 2 weeks telling you that I'm still doing it.
Uh,
So,
you send me another email after a year,
all right, that's a deal.
and I can
I'll
tell
take
you
that challenge.
it is embarrassing. It's
Well,
embarrassing and it's painful to do this. It'll be embarrassing for you particularly. Why? The more we talk about something, the more embarrassing it is to admit we didn't live it.
yeah, and I think that's where real growth comes from, though. Well, when you face those, I don't want to say demons because they're not demons or challenges.
See, you know that in your
Yes,
head, but every day doing it is hard.
that is true.
It is really hard, and it's harder for you. You know why it's harder for you? The more
Why?
we know something is the right thing to do, the more embarrassing it is to look in the mirror and admit we didn't do it today.
Yeah, yeah. And the funny thing is that this can be applied to so many different things, not just business, but
Life.
I can see this in my own life. So, and it's actually these types of questions that I don't ask myself
Good.
that don't keep me aligned.
Let me give you one example from my LinkedIn post that I love. Everybody says they have a value about encouraging honest input, want people to tell the truth. So I say, well, would you punish the messenger, punish those people who try to help you? Never, never would I do that because I believe in honest communication. Then I say, okay, I want you to think of a case study when you're driving the car. You're driving a car and the person next to you looks up and says, look out, there's a red light up ahead. Did you say thank you? Or did you say, what do you mean there's a red light? Don't you think I can see how to drive this car? What's wrong with you? I know how to drive. Well, yeah, okay. We say we value honest input, communication. In reality, we scream at people who try to help us.
Yeah. I It's interesting that you say that, and you talk about making life better for people. I can just imagine the impact on not only just a person, but their families, their communities. The business impacts, I think, are, you don't even have to debate those. Those are, I think, already there. But to me, it's understanding the impact on the individual
Right.
and then what it does for their families and what it does for community and so on and so forth. And that I find very interesting. So these six questions, we're going to have another chat in a year.
Very good. This stuff is hard. Hard for me, by the way. I have somebody call me every day to make sure I do this. Why have somebody call me every day? People say, do you have a coach? I have somebody call me every day. Why? My name is Marshall. I'm too cowardly and undisciplined to do anything I teach by myself. I need help. And it's okay. I need help. I'm just human. You think I'm better than my clients? No. You think I'm better than you? No. I need help. I screw up daily.
So do you like, so as a coach myself, I try to have coaches that help me. You do this same practice as well. There's coaches that you sort of
That's what we
communicate
call
with
me
and
virtually every day.
wow. Wow. I know you have the top 100 coaches, which is really cool. And I was fortunate to have one of those coaches on my podcast before, Alyssa Cohen, and she was great.
Good.
And that sort of inspired me as I kept on thinking. You talk about, have you made those or build those relationships? So maybe I didn't ask myself that every day, but I tried to push myself. And this is an example, like reaching out to you to see if I can connect and we can have a conversation, because it's not just benefiting me. Anybody who listens to this is going to have a tremendous benefit. So I think having that relationship with others, even with other coaches to challenge us, is helpful.
Now you mentioned that term reach out. Very important thing to remember. If you feel like you can't move on and all your hope is gone, life is full of much confusion. Happiness is just an illusion. You got to reach out.
Touch someone, reach out, and well, Marshall, if I email you in a year and I tell you that I did this every day, honestly, you and I should go on a singing tour, a duet tour.
Would I trade in my job as a world-renowned leadership thinker, #1 in the world and top executive coach, for the career of a decadent rock and roll star? If I could, yes, I would make that trade. Unfortunately, I have no talent, so I was not given the offer. But I live in Nashville now. So I go down to Broadway and I sing karaoke down here.
Oh, do you really?
Now I can't sing worth a crap, especially everybody there's got talent, but I always get a standing ovation. You know why? I'm about 40 years older than the next youngest singer. I get up there, they go, look, he made it to the top of the stage. Yeah. And you know what? He made it back down. He finished the song. Yeah. I always get a standing ovation just for finishing the song.
That's great. So I mentioned that I went to your AI chatbot, and it was pretty cool. And I asked it a couple questions, and then there was one question I asked it, and it was funny because I think the response was, I can't really talk about that. I stick really towards
Doesn't tell you. You ask it, who's Donald Trump? You know what it says? I don't know.
Yeah. Do you worry about AI and its impact? So AI, like in the coaching profession. So I get involved in the
I'm going to
ICF
help you with
perspective.
this. I talk to a lot of coaches, and I'm going to help you on this one. The train has left the station.
Yeah.
Let me help you. This train has left the station. Just make peace. You're not going to change AI. It's going to be here. Um, it's going to be here. It's not going to stop. Just make peace. And it is what it is. It
Yeah.
is what it is. Yeah, you
Well,
want me to I'm see if I can show you something cool. Okay, you ready?
yeah, yeah.
What I'm trying to show, it may not work. What I'm going to show you, if I can make this work, is mind blowing. All right. Now I use AI every day, so I'm quite familiar with it. Now, so you can't talk for the next couple of a minute. I'll just take a minute or two. Ready? Okay. Hello, how's it going?
Hey there, it's going great on my end. Always a pleasure to chat with you. Hope you're doing well too.
Yeah, we've been working on a lot of the LinkedIn posts. What I'd like you to do is come up with something that kind of something I should have said, a quote that's very consistent with my philosophy, but I didn't say. Just one for now, just give me one.
Absolutely, I love doing that kind of thing. Let's cook up a should have said quote that's got your signature touch. Here's the idea. True leadership isn't about knowing all the answers. It's about asking the right questions and making space for others to shine. This is something that really aligns with your coaching philosophy, empowering others, focusing on questions rather than just directives, and letting people find their own strength. If that resonates, we can roll with it.
Well, thank you very much. Let me get back to you on this one, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Take your time, and whenever you're ready to dive back in, just let me know. Glad.
Welcome to the new world.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's very cool. I try to do a little research on AI, and I get involved in the coaching and technology space too. And I'd love to get your thought on this. So one of the things that I see missing a little bit is that, we tend to be very pendulum like. We go to extremes. Everybody's, very AI focused. But the one thing that I start to see us not thinking about is how it impacts our humanity. Because now they actually call coaches like a human
one thing I'm
coach.
good about is saying not an expert. So I only talk about things that I know something about. So the impact of AI in the larger society, there are many other better experts than me. So move on.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to talk to a philosopher about what they think about AI and
All
impact. So
right.
I think that'll be pretty cool. But no, I appreciate that. Yeah. I think,
All right. Now you want me to teach you something else?
I'm sorry.
You want me to teach you something else about you?
Yes, please.
Okay, breathe. Now I just said something which you agreed with. What was the first word out of your mouth?
Move on.
You said no.
Oh, did I?
You said no, I appreciate that.
Oh, I didn't even realize.
Now, why did you say no, I appreciate that? Let me explain this to you. The most common phrase uttered by smart people when people tell us something we agree with is, no, I appreciate that. No, I agree with you. No, I think it's a good idea. Let me tell you what the no means. The no means I already understood that. Don't do that. It's a bad habit. Smart man disease. When someone says something you agree with, even if you did already know it, just say great idea.
No, I appreciate that because to be
Reading,
honest, I wasn't even
what'd you
conscious
just
of that.
say? Stop. You just said, no, I appreciate that again.
I appreciate that, Marshall. Thank you very much. Wow, that's how crazy ingrained that is. I appreciate you for no. Thank you for pointing that out. That's something I'm definitely going to want to be conscious of and work
You're
on.
far from alone. It's in my book, What Got You. Never start a sentence. When people try to help you, don't start a sentence with no, but, or however. I find my clients $20 every time they do this. One guy was coaching was stubborn. He said, but Marshall, I said, that's free. You ever start a sentence with no, but, or however, we're going to find you $20. But Marshall, 20, no, 40, no, 60, 80, 100. He lost $420 in an hour and a half.
Wow.
At the end of an hour and a half, he said to me, thank you. Thank you. He said, I had no idea. I did that 21 times you throw it in my face. How many times would I had you not been thrown in my face? 100? So I just taught you something very simple. You did not disagree with me, and you exactly repeated the mistake in a matter of seconds.
Thank you for that. Well, it's interesting because now I have to pause, like of just a
Good.
split second to make sure.
And
Which
good. It's a good idea. It's good
Yeah.
you take a split second to pause.
Yeah, and actually, that split second probably will spur me to think a little before I actually move my mouth as well. So there's a dual impact there.
Yeah.
Mar- Marsha, this is pretty amazing. I can't thank you. I have a couple other things that I'm curious about. I hope you will indulge me.
Now,
Um,
again, if I know anything about it or I have an opinion, I'll happy to share it. If I'm not an expert, I'll just say I'm not an expert.
no problem, no problem. So um, um, I'm curious of who are some of your heroes or people that inspired you along your journey?
Well, I'm very fortunate. I mean, I met when I was a very young age, Paul Hersey and Ken Blanchard developed situational leadership. And I was a kid. And basically, I thought, I want to be like you when I grow up. So, I mean, why did I end up in this field at all? Because I was inspired by them. And they were kind enough to get me started. And Paul Hersey gave me my first good breaks in life. And there's no way I'd be here if it weren't for him. So he was definitely one. Peter Drucker, I mentioned another one. And then two of the people I coached, Frances Hesselbein was CEO of the Girl Scouts, greatest leader I ever met in my life. Peter Drucker said she was the greatest leader I ever met, totally inspirational person. And then Alan Mullally, the guy I coached, was, CEO of Boeing Commercial Aircraft and totally saved Ford. And I learned so much from him. And then, a lot of other people I've coached are really heroes to me. In theory, I'm supposed to teach them, but in practice, usually they teach me far more than I teach them.
Wow, that's cool. Thank you. Do you think there's a common thread through all those individuals that why they would have had an impact on you?
Well, why they had an impact on me is one thing, because I'm a teacher. So I love people, I love learning and teaching. So for me, these are all people I learned from. They taught me so much. Uh, the other thing, though, about people who are good at anything is they're actually doing what they're doing. They're not doing it to make money. They're not doing it to play a game. They actually are doing what they are doing.
Hmm.
They are in that role. That doesn't mean they say what they think every 5 minutes, which I think is stupid about authenticity. That doesn't mean get up and tell everybody you think they're idiots. Well, that's not particularly useful. On the other hand, be who you are in a professional sense. Francis Hesselbein, Alan Mulally, leaders like that, how many times I ever hear them complain in decades? Answer, zero. How much poor
Wow.
me? None. I'm a victim, zero. Isn't life tough? Zero. Every day is showtime. They would get up there
Wow.
day after day, and they were professionals. Well, to
Eh,
me, that's it. It's not putting on some show or reading a book. What do you do every day, day after day after day after day? And that's what counts.
it almost sounds like purpose is driving them because it almost sounds like if you've got purpose, you don't need any other influences. You just sort of live it day by day. I don't know if I don't know if that resonates at all.
Yeah, exactly. And so they are in their role every day. They are being who they are. They are an authentic professional in that role. And doesn't mean they're not a human. They feel bad. Kids die, people get sick, things happen, right? Doesn't matter.
Hmm. Very
You show,
cool.
yeah, you show up the next day, you got to be there.
Yeah, I feel
The other
when
thing, a lot of it is letting go. Now, I work at St. Jude's Children's Hospital and the Rady Children's Hospital in California as a volunteer. And one thing you're taught is never cry in front of the kids. You don't help them by crying. You don't help them. That's the worst thing you can do.
oh, that's
So you may
interesting.
feel bad, but you don't do that in front of a kid. Very bad, very bad. Then you make the kid feel terrible. The kid feels like a monster.
Oh, yeah.
Very bad. So you learn that you got to learn to let it go. I mean, these people, they're around dying children every day. They've got families. They got to take care of themselves. They got kids. They can't carry that stuff home. You got to learn to let it go, or else you just go crazy.
Yeah, and to your point, as you were saying, it doesn't sound like you're being of service to those children who maybe need something different.
They don't need that. They don't need you to cry. They need you to smile.
That is a powerful statement right there.
Yeah.
Marshall, if there was a one or two key takeaways that you wanted somebody who was listening to this, I'm sure there's probably more than two, but if there if there was one or two that you wanted somebody to walk away from our conversation, what might that be?
Well, is this our final question? Save that for the last question. So if this is the last question, that's fine.
This will be the last question.
All
Yes.
right, fine. Everybody listening, breathe. Breathe. I want you to imagine you're 95 years old and you're just getting ready to die. You're on a deathbed. It's all over. Here comes your last breath. But right before you take that breath, you're given a beautiful gift. The ability to go back in time and listen to the person that's listening, talk to the person who's listening to me right now. The ability to talk to that person, that younger version of you, and help them be a better leader, a better person, a better professional. What advice would the 95-year-old you who is facing death have for the you that's listening to me right now?
Mm.
Well, whatever you're thinking now, do that. You want to live your values? Those are your values. Do that. Do that. Some friends of mine interviewed old folks who are dying, asked this question, what advice would you have? Number one, be happy now. Great Western disease, I'll be happy when. When I get the money status, BMW, condominium, we all have exactly the same win. That old person facing death, that is win. I know this better than most of you. I'm 76. Time goes fast. Time goes fast. Enjoy life. Number two, friends and family, don't get so busy climbing the ladder of success. You forget the people who love you. Big mistake. And then number three, if you have a dream, go for it. You don't go for it when you're 30, you're not going for it when you're 80. And business advice, not much different. Life is short. Enjoy what you do. Have fun. Ties back to our conversation. Do whatever you can do to help people. The main reason to help people has nothing to do with money or status or getting ahead. The main reason to help people is much deeper. The 95-year-old you will be very proud of you because you did, and disappointed if you do not. And finally, go for it. World's changing. Do what you think is right. May not win. What the heck? At least you tried. Old people, we seldom regret the risks we take and fail. We regret the risk we fail to take. And finally, back to I said, my mission is pretty simple. You person listening right now, I hope we said in our conversation one thing to help you have just a little better life. And if someone listening to us has a little better life based on this podcast, it's a good day for me.
Marshall, I can't thank you enough for the time. And I am sure that whoever's listening this, truly listening, will have that little better of a life. So again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for the time. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.